Saeeda Gazdar, you have brought some of your poems today, and I would like you to start with one of them.
Behind the iron bars, fettered and chained, worthing with the recollections of the land, suppressing every echo of pain, of tormented oppression, of incarceration, the prisoners are singing. That land of ours, where flowers used to blossom, the farms were fragrant, the children used to create uproar, the lovers churned colorful laughters, and the cuckoo used to sing. But unknown why and how they came, senseless and merciless, clipped the feathers of cuckoo and choked its throat, crushed the flowers, trampled on the crops.
When you start writing a poem, how do you choose the theme? Is that something that comes like divine inspiration from the muses, or is it a clear political or social commitment?
Well, you see, I didn't take poetry very seriously. It's only for the last 4 or 5 years since I'm writing poetry. And I think the main cause behind it was not the divine muse, but the political conditions and the suppression I felt myself inside. And I thought that perhaps I should write poetry. I mean, I didn't plan it like that, but I just once wrote it and sent it to a newspaper, and after that I started writing poetry. And I thought that was the best way to reach people in a very short time, because you get involved in an incident or in an event, you start writing with a lot of anger and I think intensity, and that comes a poetry, and you send it to a newspaper and gets it published because it takes little space.
Do you also read poetry in Pakistan to other people?
Yes, I do, when I'm invited.
Is this a thing that could be done in a country with a high rate of illiteracy, for example? You should think that poetry is more important than a novel or a short story.
Yeah, I think poets can reach people very easily. And in our country, poetry reading is a tradition. And a poet, if he's really popular, and usually nowadays, I mean, protest poetry and political poetry is very popular in Pakistan, and it may not be published, but if a poet is going to read, I mean, thousands and thousands of people just gather, there, listen to, and it's a real ecstasy for them, because they don't get any other chance to, I think, join in the political protest.
Of course, you have this social or political commitment, but we know very well that good intentions, are not enough to write a good poem.
Yes.
There are many bad poems with the right opinions. Where do you take the poetic content? Do you play on traditions, old traditions in Pakistan, or is it foreign models? Or
No, I didn't think when I started writing poetry in these forms. I just wrote, and I think I write in free verse, and it's a not very old tradition in our literature, but I think it's becoming very popular, because now the idea behind the poetry is more important than what you are saying in words. Words without meaning have lost their charm now, and people want to read and want to listen to something which really conveys some matter to them from everyday life. And I am using my poetry as a weapon, actually, for the present day situation. I am not bothered about what it happens to it after 50 years or so. It's not my responsibility. I mean, I feel very much responsible for the present, what is happening there. And I want to fulfill my duty towards my fellow being.
in a society as yours, I guess it's dangerous to use weapons. And is it dangerous to be a writer as well?
Yes, it's very dangerous, and there is a lot of risk involved in it, personal and professional. But people choose to write, and I think they are very daring and brave people. I mean, I'm just a very small example. If you look at greater writers and poets, you would find them very bold and courageous. and of course they have been put behind bars for many years just for their ideas and for speaking out the truth. You are banned from the media altogether. You don't get published in magazines and newspapers easily. And sometimes when you get published in some sympathetic newspaper, the newspaper establishment gets threatened officially that if you publish such and such person, we are going to stop your advertisements, and we will. So I mean, it's a real threat all the time, but people still continue to do what they want to do.
And it is possible to publish a poem of this kind in a newspaper in Pakistan?
Yes, it has been published in a newspaper. It's an opposition newspaper, and it's a very bold and daring newspaper in Urdu, which is spoken all over Pakistan and understood and written.
In your novels, you have been writing a lot about women and their condition, social condition in Pakistan.
Yes.
You consider this one of the main and important themes, don't you?
Yes, I think because women problem is very acute in Pakistan, and of course there are many other problems in Pakistan. You can't isolate women's problem from the society and from masses, but at the same time I think since women are 50% of the population and their problems are so entirely different because of this, I think, centuries of bondage and traditions on the one hand, and now with new systems and new rules and laws, they are suffering more, and they have to face the oppression more than men. And besides, I think as a woman I feel very intensely for the suffering of women, what they go through, and they are doubly suppressed in the system than men. They are, I mean, officially they are suppressed as other people are, but then on individual level, you know, as persons, they are suppressed by the male superiors of their family.
Is this true for all levels of society, all different classes?
No. I think it's very common among the middle class and among the lower middle classes. And of course, I mean, if you look at the rural areas and peasantry, women are more brutalized than anywhere in the world, I guess.
How?
You see, they do a lot of work. They work much more hard than men, but they are treated like animals. I mean, they are treated like chattels. They can pass from one man to the other, you know, without any of their own personal considerations, and no one bothers, and no one wants to give a second's thought what is happening to a woman. I mean, a woman in the rural areas, because you know it's the feudal society, and we are living very much under the feudal code at the moment, and it is not changed very much. So a woman is basically a man's honor. She is no person herself, and when a man thinks that in a way he is being dishonored by this woman, he has every right to kill her or to treat her in any way he likes. So they are exchanged sometimes like chattels in family quarrels, and you know, and it's very tragic. But that is, I'm talking about the villages and provinces. But I think there are intense problems of women in the cities as well, for working girls. Like, you have no idea that a woman can't live alone in Pakistan, which is a very common thing in the West. No matter how unhappy she is in her family or in her domestic life.
By law regulation she can't?
No, there are no such written laws, but I mean the atmosphere is such. The social conditions are such that she can't. It's a taboo, it's not written anywhere, but she can't do this.
Do you consider yourself a feminist writer, writing about these things?
So far, feminism is concerned with politics, and of course with the politics of protest in Pakistan. I am a feminist writer because feminism is a protest movement in Pakistan at the moment, very much against the establishment, and it has got a leftist stance in it, because we know that the government which is suppressing women and their ideas and their freedom is being supported by America. which is so, which propagates a lot and talks a lot about freedom, freedom of press, freedom of ideas, and about prisoners whom they term as, prisoners of conscience. And there is no, I think, women don't suffer any kind of suppression in American society. They get all the protection. But on the other hand, they are trying to support the government and the regime in Pakistan, which has already suppressed women so much. I mean, and there is such a hard censorship in Pakistan. There is no freedom of expression and individual freedom as well. And besides, I think it's the basic rule of fundamentalism, which is being supported by America. It wouldn't have existed there if it hadn't got this support.
But Pakistan always was a Muslim country.
You see, it was made, when Pakistan was made 38 years ago, you know the history, in 47. The Muslims of India, they demanded for a separate country for Muslims. But I think as soon as Pakistan was made, people wanted to live in peace. And of course they are culturally and traditionally very much Muslim. But they don't want to be told all the time that, look, you are a Muslim and you should do this and you should do that, which is harming religion in Pakistan. It's not helping. Because if you are told all the time, and such rules and laws are passed in the name of religion, I think that puts people off from anything, not speaking of religion.
Urdu is also one of the characteristics of Pakistan society. You write your works in Urdu.
Yes.
But there is also a tradition in both India and Pakistan for Anglo-Indian. Salman Rushdie, I think, has his roots in Pakistan.
Yes.
Have you ever thought of writing in English?
No, actually, this is the first time since I'm attending this conference. I've been told by so many people that my work should be translated in English. I never thought like this. Actually, I think that there is a very rich tradition of literature behind me, and very few poets and writers of ours have been translated in foreign languages. Maybe perhaps some of them have been translated in English. So now, since the world is getting smaller, and people are getting to know each other and they want to know each other, like I think your Norwegian literature is being translated quite recently in other languages. So I think now I'm thinking of getting my things translated in English, if I can, if somebody is interested.
So you will be read in foreign countries, but isn't it the problem that so many people in your own country can't read your novels?
Oh yes, it's very depressing, and it's a very disturbing thing as well, because you write for the people, and then you know that it's not going to reach them. But at the same time, I think if one keeps trying, it helps a lot. And you do reach people in some way or the other if you write in a simple language and about their problems. Because I think middle class and the intellectual class is the most outspoken class in Pakistan. And whenever a change comes in literature, in politics, or in social setup, it comes through that. So if I'm read in the middle classes, which is of course educated, and they read literature, then I feel sort of satisfied sometimes. But of course it's very disturbing.
But with these weapons of yours, you are still optimistic of the future.
Oh yes, you can't survive without optimism, can you? One has to think ahead.